Welcome to Proverbs 31 Creatives. My name is Brianna Coleman. I'm so excited for this new chapter in my walk with the Lord. My goal with this podcast is to encourage other women to grow their creativity, entrepreneurship, finances, life, health, and most importantly, grow closer to Jesus. I'll be having conversations with guests with anointed women in faith and learning right along with you. Are you ready to start your journey to become the creative Proverbs 31 woman you've always wanted to be? All right, let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Proverbs 31 Creatives. I'm your host, Brianna Coleman. I am so excited for today. Happy Friday. I hope you've had an amazing week so far. I feel like I have not talked to you guys in so long. We have had some amazing guests recently. Go follow them, go support them, go learn from them. Caitlin, Tifunder, Nasfika. I have loved every single one of these interviews. I am so thankful that these women of God are in my life and they are so wise and mature in the Lord. And I have just loved soaking up to them like a sponge and just taking what they say and running with it. So thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast these last couple weeks. I have loved having guests, but I also have missed my solo episode. So that is what today is going to be. It is a solo episode of me doing a catch-up life debrief. And my goodness, we have some catching up to do of personal things going on in my life, as well as some things that the Lord has laid on my heart. So I am so excited for all that is to come. This is truly just the beginning. The plans that the Lord has for Proverbs 31 Creatives is bigger than I ever imagined. It is so crazy to me that the Lord used what I thought was just going to be a group chat name for my friends. Then that turned into a Facebook group. Then that turned into the podcast and everything that has unfolded and all that is about to happen. I am so excited for 2025. And I'm so blessed that the Lord has chosen me to steward this and run with this. And I'm so blessed with all that has already happened and all that is going to happen in the future and is to come. Now let's get into some personal updates. Let's start the week of November 13th. So the 13th, November 13th was a Wednesday. So every Wednesday, my husband and I love watching Ink Master. I have loved that show since I was in high school. I am a longtime fan. So this season, every episode has been on Wednesdays. They're releasing new episodes on Wednesdays. So that is something that we look forward to watching every Wednesday night. So on the 13th, they release an episode. My mom cracked up when I told her this story. On the 13th, they release an episode on service dogs. The challenge for the artist was to do realism portraits of service animals. They had people with disabilities come in. They had their service animals. They were adorable. And the dogs were so adorable that I looked up Cincinnati's animal shelter. If you follow me on Instagram, you know where I'm going with this. But I happened to pull up Cincinnati Animal Care, and my husband and I immediately were drawn to a few dogs. And if you know me personally, I think I don't know if I shared this or not in past episodes, but we lost our dog. He actually was my childhood dog of 15 years. His name was Otis. He was the love of my life. He was a 15-pound Maltese poodle mix. And I literally had Otis since I was in 4th grade, and he passed away when I was 25. So needless to say, that dog was a part of my life for more than he wasn't a part of my life. Like, Otis was our family. So he watched me graduate high school. He was in my wedding. Like, he was a part of my life for as long as I can remember. So when Otis passed away, that was really hard. And he passed away in April. And so this summer, it honestly took some getting used to not having a dog around for a long time. And like, I would open up the bathroom door, expect Otis to be there, and he wasn't there. And I just had to mourn, and just like anybody does when they lose their dog or pet or cat or whatever. So I took some time to mourn and grieve and things like that. I didn't expect us to get a dog so quickly. So yeah, I just spoiled it. Yes, we got another dog. So his name is Blue, and I love him. He is amazing. So on Wednesday, we saw the episode of from the animal shelter. On that Sunday, we had our final walkthrough for the house. So we walked through it with our real estate agent one last time before we bought the house. And after we left the walkthrough, we went to Cincinnati Animal Care and we got Blue. So yes, and it's just funny. Like we literally went from 15 pounds to like 70 pounds. Blue is a pit bull, essentially. That's the nickname. American Bulldog. He's amazing. I love him. He is so well behaved. It's crazy. Like I think he's only had one or two accidents in the apartment. So I don't know if he was trained before or what, but yeah, he has only had like one or two accidents. It's been great. He is so well behaved. We take him to Home Depot when we go to get stuff for the house, and he is like the local celebrity. Everybody stops, pets him. I've even had people stop and take pictures of him. Like he's gorgeous. His coat is like a brownish silver and his eyes match his coat. So he is very gorgeous and the biggest cuddle bug. He's 65 pounds of pure muscle, but yet he's scared of water, the vacuum, and my hair dryer. And then he also his love language is physical touch. So he likes to try to sit on the lap of whoever is driving, which is a safety hazard. So one of us has to sit obviously in the passenger seat and kind of like block block Blue from trying to come and sit on our laps while we're driving. So we're working on it, but we are settling in as a new family of three and we absolutely love it. Blue and I have our morning routine of as soon as my husband leaves for work, Blue and I go back in bed and lay in bed for about another 20 minutes while I read my Bible, and he snores while I read my Bible. But we love our morning routine together and the walks, and he loves the dog park, and it's been so much fun having him around. And now that we have the house with the yard, so we got Blue on that Sunday and then we signed our papers. Yes, we are now homeowners. We have our house. We signed the papers on that Monday. So yes, 17th, that Sunday, we got Blue. The very next day on that Monday, we signed the papers for our house. And then the 20th, that Wednesday, was my birthday. And so it was like bam, 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 bam. All like everything just happened at once. And to put the icing on the cake, in the process of all of that, getting Blue, signing the papers for our house, my birthday, I had food poisoning. I was nauseous the whole time. Like so nauseous. I took a pregnancy test. I was so sick. I'm literally ripping up carpet in our house, nauseous. I have not found a sushi restaurant up here in Cincinnati. Mind you, I ate sushi in poke bowls and hand rolls and like raw sushi, not fried shrimp tempura, like buttery salmon, spicy tuna rolls, the whole 9 yards when I lived in Florida. I have not found a sushi place up here in Cincinnati yet. And the quest still continues because I tried to land a sushi restaurant that just opened up here in Cincinnati as a social media client. Well, that was on that Friday before we got Blue, and I was sick that whole time. I was sick for like a week, and I will spare the details, but basically I lived off of baked potatoes with taco meat and cheese on top and Wendy's Frosties or Costco ice cream. That's all I wanted, in pumpkin pie for my birthday. The cinnamon in the pumpkin pie tasted good to my stomach, but other than that, I really didn't have an appetite. And so it was so bad. The one morning, this is what did make me think I was pregnant, because my husband made eggs in the morning for breakfast, and as I smelt the eggs cooking, I was so nauseous I had to shut the door of my office, and I literally just sat in my office by myself, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just nauseous." Like, that's all. So God bless me when that time does come that I am pregnant, because nausea is my least favorite thing in the whole world. So that is one thing I'm very glad that I'm sober now, because the hangovers and being nauseous, like that's a whole other topic. I'm so glad I don't have that anymore. So that was my birthday week, was eating pumpkin pie and baked potatoes in Frosties. So, and cuddling with Blue on the couch. So that was fun. But now the fun part, renovating the house. So right now we officially, as of 2 nights ago, got all of the carpet ripped up out of the house. And I'm so thankful. If you go over to my personal Instagram, you can see the kind of before and afters I've been sharing. I do need to make a highlight of some sort to kind of do like a renovation highlight reel, I guess. I don't know how I want to do that. Just like updates in the house and things like that. So we officially got all the carpet ripped up 2 nights ago. The time consuming part is like the nails and the tack strip and ripping up all the carpet. And then today we actually ordered from Home Depot the flooring. So we have the flooring going in. We thought we were going to be able to restore the natural hardwood, the original hardwood that's in the house, but there are so many sections that are either rotted out or like just busted out, and like it would be more work and cost more money for us to try to restore what's down on the floor already versus just going to buy new. So it is a flip. We think we're either going to sell it or rent it. I'm not sure, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we are just going to put new flooring down. So I'm very excited about that. So flooring is going in. We got new drywall. We're painting the ceiling soon. I think that's starting today. And then we're painting the walls, and then we'll be able to move in. So basically, it's been crunch time trying to make this house livable before we can even move in. So thank goodness we have the apartment until December 31st, and then we are moving in. It would have been horrible if we had to move into that house right away, because there was like 20 years of cat pee, dog pee, like animal just fluids in the carpet, and like it literally looked like it was never vacuumed. Like it just would have been a nightmare for our health. So we even found moisture in some drywall spots. That's why we had to rip all that out, get some new drywall. So long story short, we are almost there. So our goal is to be moved in like 2 to 3 weeks. So be praying for us for the strength, because if we are not working our day jobs, we have our part-time job of working on the house. So it has been one thing after another. I am so excited to be able to live in our house. Blue loves the backyard, being able to come with us as we're working on the house. And it's just good to see him running around, because obviously with him being a much bigger dog, I would have felt so horrible with how much energy he has. Like, yes, obviously we take him to the dog park. We go on many walks during the day, but he still has so much energy that I would have felt so bad with him being in the apartment all the time. So I'm very grateful the timing of everything, of like when we're getting him, and like now we're have the yard and the house and everything. So he won't be as cooped up, and I know he'll feel better about that too. So I officially picked out my office in the house, like which room I want. And okay, hear me out. I know it sounds a little crazy, but I think what was a closet, I think I'm going to turn into my podcast studio, and I'm so excited. It's going to look so good. And then I think we are also going to expand the bathroom, the main bathroom, and like make it look bigger and add a walk-in shower. So all of these renovations, I'm so excited. We're going to add so much value to the house, and it's going to look so good. And so I'm so excited. I will be sharing, honestly, with all the renovations, I have been like not vlogging, but videoing and taking pictures and things like that. As far as like home renovation, I will also be doing some like DIY wall hangings and things like that. So that is my creative side coming out. I have a couple canvas DIY ideas that I want to do that I found on TikTok. So definitely, if this is something you're interested in, follow me over on my personal page, because I will be sharing a lot more home renovation stuff, and I'm so excited to start on this part. So, for today's episode, I did want to do a reflection of this past year before we continue on and move on to 2025, because that will be here before we know it. And I am working on something right now that I'll either be announcing on the 13th or the 20th. I don't know how I want to do it, but basically, it's going to help us bear fruit all of 2025. And I am so excited for this. This is something that the Lord dropped in my spirit, and I truly feel as a community of Proverbs 31 creatives that this is going to bring us so much closer to the Lord, help us improve on our daily life, and I'm so excited to share that with you guys. But the other day, I was getting ready for the day, and I do like to watch the weather in the morning. I don't really like to listen to the news, so I'll turn it down or mute it or whatever until I see the weather come on. In the Midwest, I feel like you have to watch the weather versus when I lived in Florida, it was sunny every day. My husband, he's like, "Why do you like to watch the weather when we lived in Florida?" And then we moved up here and he's like, "Okay, now I realize why you like to watch the weather because it's literally going to be, it's 40 degrees today and a high of 25 degrees tomorrow." So that's why I like to watch the weather in the morning. But as I was getting ready, I had the news in the background and they did a segment where, and I feel like it was the Lord that I was, because like I said, I typically have it either turned down or something along those lines because I don't like to listen to the negativity in the morning. You really have to put on the full armor of the Lord if you're going to watch the news nowadays. So I don't really like to do that, especially first thing in the morning. So like I said, will just turn it down, mute it, whatever I have to do until the weather comes on because I don't like to touch my phone in the morning. So, like I was saying, they did a segment in the morning, and I feel like this is the Lord that I heard this. They were doing a segment, and they said that the Cambridge, I'm going to read part of this because I want to make sure I quote it right. Said that the Cambridge Dictionary word for the year of 2024 is manifest. And after all we have talked about with Tifunder's testimony, if you not listened to her episode, go back, listen to it. She had a 6-figure new age business, and Nasvika, she struggled with new age, as well as my testimony I released back in October, my testimony with new age. All three of us struggled with manifesting. This is how we all dipped our toe into manifestation, into the visualization, and then weeks, months, years go by and we look around and it's a lot more than just trying to visualize. Manifesting was how it basically was like the gateway into the new age lifestyle. And so when I heard this, it absolutely broke my heart that this was the word for the year. The reason they said this was the word for the year is because manifest was looked up almost 130,000 times on the Cambridge Dictionary website, making it one of the most viewed words of 2024. Lookups of manifest increased around the date of August 8th, 2024, which if you have left the New Age lifestyle, you know what date that is, which is considered a particularly powerful day for manifesting, keeping the many podcasts, blogs, and social media feeds buzzing with advice about how to manifest, quote unquote, manifest your dream life. Manifest your best life, especially in financial terms. Again, that is why I started looking into manifestation, was because of my lack of finances. That's where it all started. The definition, according to Cambridge Dictionary, is, and I quote, to use methods such as visualization, picturing something in your mind, and affirmation, repeating positive phrases to help you imagine achieving something you want in the belief that doing so will make it more likely to happen. Again, when I heard this, it just absolutely broke my heart because that was me. My morning routine consisted of me sitting on the couch, saying my affirmations, and closing my eyes and visualizing how I wanted my life to look. but those affirmations felt so empty when I said them, and the visualization that I was picturing felt too far-fetched. Isaiah 55:9 says, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, my thoughts than your thoughts." God's plans for our lives are so much bigger than we could even comprehend. I'm not a self-made business owner. I am a God-made business owner. What God has planned for your life is so much bigger and so much more purposeful than anything you could ever dream of. This year, since about March, the Lord has been walking me through what is the only way I can describe it is simply shaking, shifting, and settling. And maybe you have felt the same. And I feel like 2024 has been nothing but shaking, shifting, and settling. And the best way I can describe it is basically like an earthquake, like tectonic plates, where there's pressure in certain areas, there's friction in other, and it truly is just the Lord trying to align things in my life where things need to get into alignment for His way. At one point, it felt like anything that could be shaken was going to be shaken, but anything that remained was of the Lord. It was God's way of getting things into alignment the way He needs them to be, and He shook me to my very core. It was truly a refiner's season, and I don't feel like it's done yet, but it was a purifying and a cleansing. There were so many times I wanted to rebuke the things going on around me, and I felt like it was when Jesus was with the disciples out on the water, and He says, "Don't be afraid, it's me." You've heard me say it on previous episodes if you've been with me from the beginning, and I was praying this prayer all of 2024, and I simply is this: Lord, let me be at the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right thing all of 2024. And He simply did just that. It's like a chiropractor to a spine. Like He just moved everything to the right alignment. So my question is, why would I want to try to manifest something? Why would I want to try to manifest my desires when God wants to shake those things off of me and get me in line with His will? And as I just said that, the Lord just reminded me, I just grabbed my phone. The Lord just reminded me of another prayer that I don't pray this as much as the let me be at the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right thing. I pray that more frequently, but this is a prayer that I found actually from a church. I don't even go to this church. I don't know how I stumbled upon them, probably social media, and I just did a deep dive on their website, and I don't even remember how I found them. But I will put this on the Proverbs 31 Creatives Instagram because this is so good. In this prayer, I'm going to read it. They literally called, the title says, the year of Reformation for 2024. They posted this back in January. I've had this in my phone since then. The prayer is simply this: Lord, I ask you to reform any crooked ways within me. I seek heaven's blueprint and ask for your heart and your mind in all things. I pray less of me, more of you. I want what you want. Show me what pleases you. Let your will be done. If I perish, I perish, but I will make straight the way of the Lord. Lord, you are holy. Make me holy. I pray for revival and reformation in my family, city, state, America, and the nations. Amen. That is so powerful. And so this prayer right here goes against manifestation, all of it. It's I seek heaven's blueprint and I ask for your heart and your mind in all things. And so I don't know about you, but that goes against any selfish desires that anybody could possibly want for their lives. If you have never been told this, let me be the first to tell you that your relationship with the Lord is more than just you being saved and you going to heaven. If you said the sinner's prayer and you pray and read your Bible, I'm sure you'll make it to heaven. But there is work to be done. The fullness of your life is in reference to the closeness you are to the Father. You have access to the one who created the heavens and the earth. You have gifts that are freely given to you by the Father. So please get out of the mindset that you are saved and that's where your relationship ends with Jesus. If the word for the year that Cambridge Dictionary said was the most looked up word of 2024, if that does not give the church a heads up that we have a lost and broken world out there trying to sit in a corner visualizing their life instead of turning to the one who created their life and everything they could possibly want and desire, we have bigger issues. And I've been asked this before. Actually, I got a comment on YouTube, and I figured this would be a really good topic. As I was praying, the Lord reminded me of that comment. And so I figured today would be the day to talk about it. I've been asked this before. How do you hear the Lord's voice? How do you know if it's Him guiding you and not your own thoughts? So I'll answer that with another question. If you had a line of people, strangers that you didn't know, but yet you had one person, whether that's your mom, your dad, your grandparents, somebody that raised you, that took part in raising you, or a sibling or somebody that you knew, and they started speaking, could you pick them out of a lineup just by their voice? Probably. I know for a fact that if I heard 20 women and one of them was my mom, I could pick her out of a lineup. Why? Because her voice is imprinted on me. That's the same with the Holy Spirit. I know His voice. You can feel the difference between, for me, the Lord talks to me not audibly, but through my thoughts, if that makes sense. And I'll explain in a second. If you've never heard the Lord speak, there are 4 primary ways that the Lord speaks to somebody, basically broken down into feeling, knowing, hearing, and seeing. And I'll give an example for each one. And I'm just going to read some of my notes here so I want to get this the way the Lord wants me to say it. So, number 1, feeling. It's very similar to the gift of discernment. You walk into a room and you feel like something's off and you don't know why. And I had a situation this summer that happened to me. I have wanted to talk about this for a while because I single-handedly saw the work of the Lord before my own eyes. But I didn't know how to talk about it because part of it is not my story to tell. But the work of the Lord is something that I will never forget. This is in my journal. I have spent a lot of hours with the Lord talking and discussing this matter. So I have wanted to share this in some way, and the Lord is allowing me to share it in this light because I want to give encouragement to somebody. The Lord very mightily uprooted me and my husband out of a situation, and we did not know why. We just felt in our innermost being that we were not to continue in this situation, and I will leave it at that. To be very honest, I was heartbroken. I felt like I was mourning the loss of somebody very close to me. I mourned losing this. This was part of the shaking season that I just referenced. Everything in me was screaming to get out and stay away from this situation. And I was so confused. I was so heartbroken. And sometimes the Lord will show you why He's uprooting you or instructing you to either say no or don't go through with something or change your plans, or there's just something. Like, there's so many times where you hear about, for instance, my parents. I know one time my mom was telling me that the Lord told her to not go a certain way home, and she just had this discernment, like this feeling, like, don't go home this way. And she obeyed, went another way, and there was actually an accident on that very road that the Lord told her not to go down. Sometimes the Lord will show you why He has instructed you or gave you discernment, or He will validate the feeling that He gave you. And then there's other times where you just have to trust the Lord that you may never know. And that's really confusing sometimes until the Lord gives you peace. And honestly, it wasn't until very recently that we figured out the reason why we had that discernment. But you have to trust that the Lord knows what He is doing. He is going to protect you. He is guiding you. It's like bumpers on a bowling alley. Like, it truly is just like keeping you straight in line. That way you don't go either way, but He's just guiding you to where He needs you to be. The second one is knowing. This is a deep, just knowing that you are meant to do something. A calling on your life is an example of this. For instance, my sister, who is wise beyond her years, just knows that she has a calling on her life and is supposed to work with children. From a very young age, she has felt like this. And I'll leave it at that, since that's her calling to share, not mine. But from a very young age, she has known that she is supposed to work with children. It is just something in her that she cannot shake, and she refused to settle for anything less than her calling. And then next is hearing. And actually, this is how I most commonly hear from the Lord. He speaks through your thoughts, but it's different than your thoughts. Like, I can decipher if something is my thought versus something that the Lord has told me. It's not in line with what you're currently thinking. For example, I'll be praying and journaling, and as I'm praying, the Lord reveals things to me, like plans for my business, clarity and direction, etc. Another example is He can drop names in your spirit for somebody that needs prayer. For example, somebody who I was friends with in the past randomly popped in my head, like out of the blue. And I took that as a sign that I need to be praying for her. And found out that her family member was actually going through something health-wise. So the Lord used me to pray for her and her family member. Sometimes you don't even know what to pray. And so you just pray and ask the Lord to whatever that they need. You pray in the Spirit and you just pray for that person and lift them up. Sometimes you reach out to that person and they will confirm that, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I didn't think anybody else knew something was going on, but the Lord saw them and you prayed on their behalf. And then last, there is seeing. This includes dreams and visions. For me in my walk, dreams are more common than visions. If I get a vision, it's a very quick flash of an image. It's nothing to a very long extent. I love prophetic dreams. And I also get this question a lot. How can you tell if it's a prophetic dream? You just have that deep knowing that we talked about. Most dreams make no sense. Like, they just have the most random things, most random people, most random settings, there's nothing there. It just honestly is your brain like trying to flush out different things. There's like a anatomy lesson there, but I didn't study anatomy because I can't. I have a weak stomach. But most dreams, like I just said, they make no sense. You wake up, you forget about them, and maybe like when you're brushing your teeth, like, oh, I forgot I had a dream, Versus a God-given dream, a prophetic dream, there's some meat to them. You just know, like, oh my gosh, there's some layers to this. There's an underlying message here. And whether that be for a specific group of people, whether that be for a specific person, or for you personally. I have 4 people in my life that I sometimes share my prophetic dreams with. I have never, and I will probably never, blast out my prophetic dreams on social media. I do not want the opinions of others, and I want the Lord to help me interpret the dream versus the opinions of others can sometimes cloud you hearing from the Lord clearly because you're taking in those other opinions. I want to hear him clearly versus somebody else's opinions. Dream interpretation is a gift from the Lord, and I'm strengthening that muscle. If you do want the Lord to speak to you through dreams, get a dream journal. Have something by your bed, by your nightstand that you can quickly wake up, write it down, because details matter in a God-given prophetic dream. The details are so important in order to interpret the dream. Like, for instance, what time of day was it? Where were you? Who was there? Like, there's so many different levels to interpretation, and don't go and Google, I had dinosaurs in my dream. What does that mean? Or my teeth are falling out in my dream. What does that mean? Like, Google is not the gift of interpretation when it comes to prophetic dreams. So stay away from Google. Don't Google, what does my prophetic dream mean? Because it's not going to give you something that is of the Lord. I typically just go to my phone. I have my phone on sleep mode or do not disturb or whatever. I go straight to my notes app simply because I can type a lot faster than I can write. So, for instance, I just had one the other night and the Lord woke me up at 2 a.m, hurried up, rolled over, typed it out, and then went back to sleep. Then I transferred it to my dream journal. But having something where the Lord knows you are willing and open to receive prophetic dreams, get a dream journal. Have it by your bedside and pray and ask the Lord, Lord, I want you to speak to me through dreams. I want my dreams to be so clear, and I'm opening that up to you. Speak to me. I will actually share, I have my journal right here. I will actually share one of my dreams that I had back in February. Yes, of course, it means something, but it's not, and I'll explain what it means and things like that after I read it, but it's not super heavy. It's super light. And so I'll share this one. So this was back in February. This is what I wrote down. My mom and I were at Target. She went to the vitamin supplement aisle to look for something. At that moment, the typical store background music turned into blaring, and I mean blaring, Trust in God by Elevation Music. Mom and I looked at each other when it happened. When I put it together, that's what God was trying to say. He was trying to join in on the conversation. Our hands went up. I melted on the floor crying in worship. Mom was crying too. People all around the store stopped what they were doing. Customers started jumping up and down. Hands went up immediately all over the store. People were yelling, Jesus. Security runs over to adjust the music, and they couldn't find where the music was coming from. And then I woke up. So that was in February, I had that dream. So that was in February. In September, my mom ordered a sweatshirt and it says, "How can I pray for you today?" And she said, and I had told her this dream, but of course that was back in February and time has passed and we forget about these kind of things. That's why it's so important to keep a dream journal. Is she forgot about this dream, and as we're in the car actually driving home from Women of Fire, she orders a sweatshirt, "How can I pray for you today?" And she goes, "I have found that shopping is so much more fun when I treat it like a mission field, when I treat it like, how can I pray for somebody today? I want somebody to come up to me and ask me to help them pray or pray for them or something like that." And so when she told me that, immediately I remembered my dream. And so I reread what I had wrote down for that dream, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome." And so now she prays for people in Target and while she's shopping. So an encouragement to all of us to be more bold with our faith. And I love that she has been doing that. But I said all that to say this. You get to know the Lord's voice by reading your Bible, by spending time with Him, praying, spending quiet time, reading your Bible, reading a devotional, spending time with the Lord, however you and the Lord see fit. For me, again, I've said this before, it's a continual conversation. Like, I'm praying while I'm at the gym. I go for walks with Blue and I pray. During my workday, I'll do a lunch break and I'll watch a sermon on YouTube or whatever. And so it's a continual conversation. But what's important is if you don't know the Lord's voice, what it sounds like, you could be very easily deceived if something comes along that you think is the Lord, but it's not Him because you don't know His voice. As we reflect on this year, be praying that the Lord shows you where you can grow and improve in Him to prepare for this new year. Ask Him to speak to you in a new way. Maybe you get prophetic dreams, but you've never actually heard the Lord's voice. Ask Him to show you that, or vice versa. Maybe you hear the Lord's voice and you want to expand into prophetic dreams. Ask Him. It is a free gift. Ask Him to speak to you in a new way. Trust that He will show you the way as we approach this new year, whether there's direction that you need for your career, whether there's goals that you want to hit. Before you start trying to make your 2025 goals, reflect on this year, pray about it, and ask the Lord for guidance that that's what He would have you do. For His ways are higher than your ways. I hope you guys loved this episode. I feel like mainly it was me giving my personal updates, but I did want to sit down, reflect on this year, and then going forward, we're going to be talking all things co-working with the Lord in our goal setting, prayer boards, not vision boards, prayer boards. And I am so excited for these next couple episodes and 2025 and all that is to come. Have a great rest of your week, and I will be praying for you. Talk to you guys soon. I hope this episode blessed you today. If it did, please rate and review the show. It helps grow the podcast to reach more Proverbs 31 creatives just like you. Don't forget to follow the show so you'll automatically be notified when the next episode drops. I'll be praying for you. See you next week.